Yo, what's up? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Jarvis here. You are with me on my IG, my FB, YouTube, and the Wisdom app. And I am so excited and so happy just to be here with each and every one of you. Man, taking this thing to the next level, still keeping and going with the challenge. I've been on this 90-day challenge of going live 90 days. We went live through the Impact Rally. We went live through anything else that's been going on. And I am so excited. I want you guys to know I am so excited. I am elated to be on here with you guys tonight. And I can't wait to take this thing to the next level. Seriously, I just can't wait to take this thing to the next level. So tonight's topic, we're talking about all about the emotions. And all about the emotions is part 7, you guys. I didn't realize that we went that deep into it, but I'm glad that we're into it. And I'm gonna keep going until we get out of this. But tonight I'm gonna be talking about. I know it sounds weird, and probably looks weird to you if you're looking at it, but it is. We're literally going to be talking about the positive side to bad moods. We're talking about all this happiness. See, my team jumped on. Good to see you, team. The positive side to bad moods. Yep, the positive side to bad moods. And in talking about the positive side to bad moods, I know some of you are like, well, what are you talking about, the positive side to bad moods? We just went through all of this stuff and talking about the negative sides of all this stuff. And now you want to get on here, you want to tell us about the positive side to bad moods. So yes, we are going to talk about the positive side to bad moods. And what I want to do to really kick this off, to get us started, I am super excited. Hey, yo, my man over here in India. How you doing, sir? Surya Pakesh, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I'm so happy to see that you're on here. And I know that I said it wrong, so I said it very fast. Surya Pakesh Bado. And he's a pastor over in India. What's up, my man? It's good to see you. I'm so happy to see you on here. That is a good brother right there. So, man, let's kick it off. I want to have a quick commercial, and just because I'm looking, and it's morning over there, so he's saying good morning. Yeah, good morning to you, my brother. Good morning. It's evening here, but good morning to you, and I'm glad that you're doing well. So, man, you guys, just so you know, we are global. I just got to put that out there. We are global. So my friend that we're talking to on the other line right now, or that I just said hello to, he is in India. I love that, man. I love everyone that I met while I was there. I know I talked about being in India the other day and just the experience that I had. And so it's so ironic to see some of these people jump in and get on the live with us. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run the commercial. Now, the Impact Rally has already happened. And he's asking me how I'm doing. I am doing well, brother. I am doing well. I am doing very fine and blessed and excited. So thank you for asking. So I am going to go ahead and run the commercial from the Impact Rally. And the reason I want to run the commercial from the Impact Rally, and this is not like a scissor reel of after the fact, this is just diving back into what happened. And it's going to, it can't really set the picture right, but I just want to re-experience this thing. Remember I talked about moments, remembering your moments. This is a moment, and I want to remember this. And so we're going to go ahead and run that commercial. Although the Impact Rally has already happened. Now, I will tell you there's an Impact Rally 2.0 that's coming up, as well as we have the Impact Academy. And I encourage you to jump in on the Impact Academy if you are somebody who is a speaker, a mentor, a leader, an entrepreneur, just a professional. You're looking to take yourself to the next level. You want to be a part of this program, because what it's going to be is it's basically going to be something very similar to the Impact Rally, but more focused on taking you to the next level and expanding it across 3 months. So it's a 3-month program. Yes, there is a cost associated with that, and I will give you more information on that. But let's go ahead and watch this commercial, man. I'm excited. I gotta see it, man. I gotta see it. So let's run this commercial. You guys that are on Wisdom, you guys that are over here on Instagram, you'll be able to hear it, but you won't be able to see it. So let's do it, man. Let's run it. Let's run it. Yo, so I just had to go relive that for a moment, you all. That's all. I just had to relive that for a moment. Man, I am excited. I'm excited about tonight. Like I said, tonight we're going to be talking about the positive side uh, to bad moods. We're going to be talking about the positive side to bad moods. And for those of you over on, if you're on Instagram, if you're having any issues with the connection on Instagram, please do me a favor. Go ahead and just jump right over to Facebook. Jump right over to YouTube. You can watch live and comment and jump in on the conversation if you would like to. If you want to go over to YouTube, it's Jarvis Henderson TV. And if you want to get in on the conversation over on Facebook, it is the original Jarvis, and you can actually get in on both of those. So, man, let's talk about it. We're going to talk about these the upside, the positive side to bad moods. So, I don't know if many of you are like how familiar you guys are with the smiley face, but the smiley face, we know them now as emojis and emoticons. It's actually been around for, I want to say, 50 plus years. Like, I was really trying to find a start date, a founded date, when the t-shirts first came out, but I couldn't find it. I just know that it kept pushing it back at least 50 plus years. So it's been around for about 50 plus years. And it started off and it was just this yellow circle with two black dots and a very schematic smile. Like, so basically the perfect smile. And it evolved over time. It evolved into shirts. It evolved into tie-dye shirts. It evolved into I mean, even Walmart uses the bounce back smiley face, right? So when you see a smiley face, it kind of registers in your brain. Oh, bounce back, make it happen. So all of these things are things that it's evolved through. And then as you follow it up, now we went to the emoticons. Now we have the emojis. We have the GIFs. There's active smiley faces that blow you kisses, smiley faces that send you hugs, smiley faces that are giving you the one eye, like, thinking like, did you really do that? But we utilize these smiley faces. They've evolved so much to be able to express every level of our moods. You have smiley faces that will express anger. You have smiley face. Well, can't call them smiley faces, but you have emoticons, emojis that will express anger. You have emojis that will express joy. You have emojis that will express fear. And that is a representation of us as a human culture, because that's how we operate. We have all of these different moods that we can go through, these emotions that we can experience. And in doing that, I was thinking, okay, why did we start utilizing all of these different types of emoticons when we started with one smiley face? And I was reading an article, and in this article, it said that there is an upside to bad moods. And I was just like, interesting. An upside to bad moods. What would create an upside to bad moods? What makes it something positive out of a bad mood? And if you're anything like me, and you know that I've been talking about, the pursuit of happiness and finding happiness and being able to raise your happiness level. Like, you don't have a limit to how happy you can be. You can be as happy as you want to be. It may sound a little bit off for me to come back in here and say, hey, there is a positive side to going through bad moods every once in a while. So if you're anything like me, like I said, I definitely was like, hold up, wait a minute, let me put some boom in it, help me understand this. And I immediately started researching and looking to see, okay, what are the upsides? What are the positive things that can come out of having a bad mood? What are the things that can benefit? The thing that I start doing whenever I start researching something is I look and I try to see, okay, let me see it from both perspectives. If I'm going to look at it from both perspectives, let me start on the adverse and then work my way backwards. That's just something that I've always done. When I want to understand something, I want to sit in the opposite seat and understand. And then now when I understand, then I can go back in and start talking about what it is that we're actually hitting on. So I started, of course, on the positive side. So the thing that I found, and I've said this time and time again, is that the more positive emotions we have, our positive emotions are linked to a lower risk of psychological illnesses. So if you think about it, when we have these positive emotions, laughter, joy, or happiness, love, like any positive emotion that you can think of, there's a it links us to having lower risk of psychological illnesses. And these psychological illnesses can include things like anxiety, depression, borderline personality disorders. And so it would benefit us, it behooves us to really start tapping into the positivity, to really look at it and see it a little bit, like say, okay, if I can add these positive things in, then these are the things that can happen to me. And it's no secret, because I've said this before and we probably already know this, and there's plenty of us that we've thought through this and we start applying these things to our life. There's no secret, none whatsoever, that our positive emotions contribute to so many different things. Our positive emotions, they drive us to be successful. Positive emotions will drive you to be successful, where the tendency of negative emotions, and I'll just kind of throw the quotes up there right now, the tendency of negative emotions drive us to want to just kind of recluse ourselves and sit back in. Positive emotions, they help us to make better decisions, because when we're feeling good, we can look at things and we have a clearer mind, and we're like, yes, this is what I need to do here, and this is what I need to do over here, and this is how this affects that. So it helps us in making better decisions, especially better life decisions. Positive emotions, and this is something that I've said over and over and over again, and I went and I found it, I searched it out, you guys. It does absolutely reduce the risk of, are you following me? The risk of diseases. Positive emotions will help you reduce the risk of diseases. Now, some of us are listening to this and you're like, well, I've heard some of this before, but I didn't really think that there was any scientific backing to it. Yeah, when you are a positive thinker, when you have positive emotions, when you're a happy person, you do drive to be more successful. You do make better decisions. You do lower your risk of catching diseases. There's so many things that work in your favor, and it's all about tapping into it. Now, part of the challenge on this evening is I'm going to challenge you. Follow me here, and you can jump in on the conversation at any time. I want to give that disclaimer out there. Feel free to want to jump into the conversation. If you're on the Wisdom app, all you have to do is hit ask to join, and I'll bring you up. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, then you'll notice that I went ahead and I dropped into the chat the actually stream link, so you can hit that link and you'll be able to join me live. And if you are over here and you're on Instagram, then you can join me by just requesting to join. And I want to say what's up to Legal Scorpion. I want to say what's up to my brother I am Devante. What's up? I see you guys over there. Wanted to show you guys some love. And I also want to say what's up to Bree, and then everybody who's over here with me on the Wisdom app. I can't see you, but show me some love. What's up to you? I can see when you throw the little clapping hands up. So, man, these positive emotions, they do all these great things. And there's one thing that positive emotions do that most people don't realize that it does for you. The other day I talked about having, or maybe even last night I think it was, I talked about having, you age in two different ways. You have a chronological, not I am Advante, my bad, bruh. My bad, man. Positive emotions, they extend our life. And the other day I said you have two types of aging that happens in your lifetime. You have your chronological age. Your chronological age is you going year to year. Every 12 months, you're going to age. Your biological age, though, is where you can speed that up or slow that down. And that comes from you affect that with the positive emotions. Remember what I said when I talked about it? I said that if you held on to the negativity, if you held on to drama, if you held on to stress, that would speed up that biological timeline, and you'll send yourself to an early death. Where with positive emotions, you actually control that timeline a lot more. You slow it down and you extend your life. If your biology is great, then guess what? Your physical age has nothing to do with it. You wonder why people like Betty White can live to be 100 years old and then and still be bouncing off walls and doing movies and everything, right? So, and that's how that happens. So our positive emotions, I put this in quotes because I wanted to make sure that I said this directly as I found it. Our positive emotions help us build a vital social, physical, and cognitive resources that lead to positive affiliations and outcomes. So your positive emotions that you have in your life, they help you to build vital. That means it's very important. Social, physical, cognitive resources that lead to positive affiliations and outcomes in our life. Now, in talking about all of these positive emotions, and we talked about our pursuit of happiness, we talked about what happiness is, what I would like to do now is I want to give balance. And I like to give balance in everything that I talk about and everything that I bring up. And that balance is this: you have to pursue your personal happiness with a balanced approach. Because if you don't pursue it with a balanced approach, what ends up happening is uh, you actually put yourself at risk. And the reason you put yourself at risk is because you start getting yourself in this place of just being super giddy and on 10 all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that kind of hinges on this on the edge of being of mania. Like if you ever seen somebody who's kind of like borderline crazy, that kind of hinges on that, where there's nothing that goes wrong. So this is what happens. See, if you don't have a balanced approach, without a balanced approach, you could find yourself engaging in a lot of riskier behaviors. So let me help you out. If you're that person, and I said this before, there's nothing wrong with being happy. There's nothing wrong with that person who's happy all the time. I'm pretty sure that those people who look like they're happy all the time experience levels of other moods. They may have been angry at one time. They may have been depressed at one time. They may have felt hurt at one time. They may have felt sad at one time. They may have any of these emotions that we talk about outside of happiness. I'm sure that they felt those things at one time, and they probably felt them within the past week. So this is what I mean by balance. If you don't have a balanced approach, a person who doesn't have that balanced approach, without balance, you engage in the more riskier behaviors. And the riskier behaviors are things like drinking too much. You know that you're already buzzed and you're just in a happy state, like, oh my God, we're just having so much fun. Round 20 on me. Yeah. Okay. That's dangerous, right? Because that could lead to alcohol poisoning. That could lead to so many things that could hurt or injure you or destroy your character, or destroy what it is that you've been trying to build in your personal life, right? Then you have, this is one that I saw, this came up a lot in a lot of different articles: skipping birth control or not wearing condoms. You're just so happy. It's like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, when or what I'm saying? I'm just, hey, to each his own, right? But you're operating in a level of happiness that's so high that you're just kind of taking these risks. Another one is people have a tendency, when they're in this state and they stay in this state, to start using drugs because they're searching to take their happiness to another level. And getting involved in drugs, of course, that can lead to overdose, that can lead to addiction. There's all kind of things that get picked up in searching for happiness by utilizing these other means. Okay. Now, in looking at these things, I know some of you guys are probably like, well, Jarvis, this is kind of like a little bit different than everything that you've been talking about. And I agree. It is a little bit different than everything that I've been talking about. And I'm not going to backtrack and take back anything that I said in talking about the importance of your happiness, the importance of knowing that your happiness is not hinged to physical things. The reality is that your happiness is hinged to moments in your life. And that's why I wanted to go back and play the video for the Impact Rally, because the Impact Rally was one of those moments where it was just like mind blowing. It was an event that we put on. It was something that we ran with. It's something that we pushed through. Yo, my man T Red, what's going on with you, man? It's good to see you. But with all of those things and everything that we do, it's important to remember that your happiness is not hinged on things. And that's why I want to talk about the positive side to bad moods. And with talking about the positive side of bad moods, of course, I went through and I started hitting all the great things that your positive moods do for you. Another thing that positive things, another thing that I wanted to mention is when you have an excess of freewheeling, you're just freewheeling out here, and you have a high level of giddiness and an absence of your more sober minded thinking emotions, you can, I mentioned this earlier, that can be a marker for mania. And mania is a psychological issue that people deal with where it's like they just borderline crazy. Now, it's important to know that your moods, our moods affect the way that our brains process information. So if you're just on this extreme high, happy 100% of the time, then your brain is going to operate at a different level. So basically, if you're in the space where you're feeling like everything's good and this is a safe environment, when we're in those places, we have a tendency as human beings to we don't think too long or hard on anything that is going to be challenging. we just kind of let things just kind of come in one ear and out the other. Something else that I found out is that we have a tendency when we're in that state to lean more into when we're in, and I want to call it the everything is awesome state. And I love that song. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Lego movie, Everything is Awesome. Like I love that. But when you're in the everything is awesome state, not only are you not really thinking through all of the challenging things that you need to think through, not only are you not allowing yourself to process certain things, we have a tendency when we're in that state to be more likely to jump to conclusions and stereotypes. Now, I'm not talking about negative conclusions, and I'm not talking about negative stereotypes. Okay. Let me clear this out, because when we hear conclusions and stereotypes, we immediately in our minds can, and I don't know if this is you, but we can go to a place of racism. We can go to a place of social injustice. We can go to these different places, and that's not what I'm talking about. Because a stereotype just does not just refer to somebody's skin tone, somebody's culture, somebody's race, somebody's ethnicity. It can refer to just how we perceive somebody, like a prejudged opinion of what somebody is. And some of those things are that we jump to conclusions on, and stereotypes. Is, let's say we're in this everything is awesome state, and we're in a place where there's let's say we're at a party, and there's the cute girl across the room, and you see the cute girl across the room, and you like her eyes, and you like her nails, and her hair looks nice. She's got a beautiful smile, and we look at her, and automatically she's a good girl. She's a nice girl. But then we see the other girl that's next to her, who doesn't have the cute smile, who doesn't have the nice hairdo, who doesn't have her nails done, but she still looks all right. And we look at her as like, okay, creep. Jeepers creepers. Ladies, this goes for you too. You see the guy across the room, he's got the nice smile, he's built how you want to be built. Some of y'all like you a nice little teddy bear dude, chunky monkey. So you got he's like, oh, look at him, girl, he's cushioning for me. And you he's, because you're in this state of euphoria, you're in this state of everything is awesome, you're looking at this person and you're prejudged. Your stereotype is that that's a good person, but you see the guy next to him who doesn't necessarily have the flashy jewelry, who doesn't necessarily have the nice haircut, but he looks pretty decent, and you're looking at him and it's like, okay, creep, stay away from me. Why do we make those decisions? We make those decisions because right there in that moment, we're in the everything is awesome state, we're in this great state of euphoria, and we're like, yes, and then we just jump on it. We make an irrational decision. We don't think it through. Another thing that can happen is with when you're looking at somebody who is, and this happens a lot of times, even in interviews. You have somebody who's interviewing somebody, and they can be in an extremely happy place, right? This very extremely euphoric place, and they're interviewing someone. That person who comes in, this person, they got a nice suit on, they got a nice tie on, but they didn't come in with a briefcase, and they didn't have glasses on. So I wonder how smart they really are. And when you looked at their resume, you didn't necessarily see what you wanted to see on the resume, so you didn't listen to what they were going to tell you. Right? Now, you have the person who comes in after them, who comes in with the briefcase, who comes in with the glasses on, who's saying the things that you like to hear. And immediately the thought process is, yes, this is what we're looking for. This is what we want. We're taking this person right here. Now, what happens? You're in a state of being in extreme high emotion, meaning like your high happy emotion. You're very euphoric, and you're just like, yes, this is what we're looking for. And you find out later that it's not the higher that you wanted. Right? Or you find out later that the person that you passed on was actually the person who was perfect for the job. Or you find out later, and let's just refer it to intelligence, the person that you saw with the glasses and the briefcase wasn't as smart as the person who was sitting there that didn't have the glasses or the briefcase and was probably just hanging out in some sweats. That person had all of your answers, but you instead, because you were in such a great happy space, went over to the person who had the look down. Right? They looked like what you figured they should look like. That's the stereotypes that I'm talking about. Now, when we start looking at this and we start adding in the negative emotions, this is where it gets a little interesting. Now, I'm going to say with quotes, negative emotions, right? The reason why I'm throwing up the quotes is because our negative emotions are not necessarily negative emotions. Some of them help contribute to making great decisions. Some of them help contribute to the skepticism that's needed to sift through the garbage and grab the right people, get involved with the right person, enjoy life with the right individual, right? And I'm not telling you to stay in there. I'm telling you to have balance. It is very okay. Hear me. It is very okay for you to get angry. Don't stay angry though. It is very okay for you to feel hurt by something because it's a part of life. It's a part of what we go through in life. You have a bad breakup, it hurts. And you can have a good breakup, it hurts. Shoot, I remember when they furloughed us and they let us go from Hertz when I was working at Hertz, man, it felt like a breakup. It felt like somebody came to me and said, you know what, it's not you, it's me. And because it's me, I'm gonna have to let you go. And that's really what happened. But that still stung. There was still a level of feeling dejected and rejected just based off of that conversation. And I understood what was going on. I understood what they were talking about. I understood that there wasn't the money to maintain the staff or the employees across the nation because of everything that was happening with COVID. None of that mattered to my emotions though. So I'm telling you this because I want you to know that it's okay to feel those emotional lows from time to time. And this is why it's okay to feel those emotional lows from time to time. The negative emotions, remember I said when I said negative emotions, I'm going to throw up the quotes. When you hit those negative emotions, they actually encourage a slower, more systematic cognitive process that takes place in your mind. It means, which basically means that it encourages you to think through things a lot. Pay attention to the details that you probably wouldn't pay attention to when you're in this extremely euphoric, super happy state. Okay. It causes you to pay more attention to the subtle details that matter. So let's go back to the cute guy, the cute girl. So you see the cute girl across the room and you're like, dang, she is fun. I'm talking about baby girl is a baddie. Like she got it going on. And you like, and in your mind, you start singing your favorite song. Matter of fact, you may even start throwing your LL Cool J look at her, like licking your lips and everything. Yeah, girl. Yeah. And while you're doing that, if you're allowing those negative emotions that we call negative emotions, if you allow those things to kind of process, like bring you down off of that high, and how do you do that? I guess that's a good question. How do you do that? It doesn't mean that in that moment you have to say, something's got to be wrong. No, nothing has to be wrong. Just allowing yourself to experience life keeps you at a great balance. So one thing about me is I never make a decision when I'm at an extreme high in my emotions or I'm at an extreme low in my emotions. I wait until my emotions get balanced out. And when my emotions are balanced, then I make a decision on what it is that I want to do. Most people don't understand that. Most people want to make a decision very quickly, very rationally out of their emotions because they're extremely happy. You ever heard of an impulse buy? Impulse buys happen because somebody is extremely happy or excited about the opportunity to grab this now. But they didn't think through it because they get home and they're like, oh my gosh, they got buyer's remorse. Oh my gosh. Same thing when you're in making a permanent decision off of a temporary feeling, you can feel upset about something. This is over, but you don't want it to be over. You just got to work through whatever the problem is. Okay. So that happens very easily from day to day and allowing yourself to go through the day and experience the emotions that are there. It doesn't mean that you walk through and every time you see something that's negative, you're like, nope, that's not negative. It's positive. No, you can find the silver lining out of every situation, but experience the moment. Allow the moment to happen. If your team doesn't get the job done, it's okay to be a little upset that they didn't get the job done. And then after you experience that emotion of feeling upset or feeling angry about them not getting the job done, now it's time to plan and let's figure out how we can do this better next time. And then you have that conversation with them. If your child doesn't do something that you need them to do, it's not for you as a parent to look at them and be like, well, it's okay. You're going to do it right next time. Yay. No. They need some sort of discipline. Okay, listen, Johnny, come here. So I asked you to do this, right? And you did this instead. Why did you do that instead? I know you don't want to have this conversation, but we're having this conversation right now because I'm the parent, you're the child, and I need to make sure that I'm training you up the right way. Like there's got to be a level of experiencing these emotions as you're going through. If you're in relationships, there's going to be times in your relationship where you have to communicate on the tough things, and it's okay to communicate on the tough things. Because when you communicate on the tough things, it makes you more aware of the enjoyable times that you have together. Tough conversations bring you closer together. They don't push you apart. The only time they push you apart is when you're not willing to sit down and have the tough conversations. All right. And that's just something I firmly believe. You can check it out. You can look it up. You can do whatever you want to do. But that's just something I believe. So let me go back into these negative emotions. Let me talk about something that they do. They help you to process. So we're talking about the cute guy, the cute girl across the room, right? And now, in all those things that you notice about this beautiful person that you see across the room, if you allow yourself not to be on an extreme high and just make a decision like, oh, I'm gonna talk to them, you start to observe and pay attention to things like, okay, you ask yourself, okay, why is there a ring line around Buddy's finger? Or you look at a woman's hand and you say, well, I distinctly remember when I first saw her, she had that ring on her left hand. Why does she have it on her right hand now? And there's a ring line on the left hand. So you're paying attention to these things, right? You're starting to talk more. You're talking to yourself internally, like you're having this inner monologue, and you're paying attention to stuff. You may even start noticing, like, okay, I see that she's, dang, like oh man, she's not all put together the way I thought. Even when it comes to dealing with the person, the smart person, or the person that you think is smarter, when that person comes in and you're interviewing that person and you're talking to that person that you think is the one, you start asking them certain questions and you notice that they don't really have all of the answers. They've just been saying some key words that caught your attention. You start noticing that they don't really know how to do the job. They're just trying to put on like they do have what it takes to do the job. And then you listen to the person who you saw at first that you didn't think was going to be a good fit, and that person is a perfect fit for what you need, even though they don't carry your personality. All right. And all of this happens in the way of allowing what we experience throughout our days to be a part of us. I'm not saying to go around here and not overcome the moods and not overcome the emotions that you're going to experience in the day. I'm just letting you know that those emotions that we experience throughout a day, good and bad, all contribute to you being more. They all contribute to you taking things to another level. They all contribute to you making better decisions. They all contribute to you slowing down your thinking and making more systematic cognitively process decisions. They help you pay attention to the subtle details. When you have these negative moods, right? A negative mood, a bad mood, it actually demands the presence of attentive thinking in the decisions that you're going to make. So it makes you, when you have a bad mood that happens, it because you don't want to operate out of that anger, you don't want to operate out of anxiety, you want to operate out of fear. It actually demands. It's like, okay, I need the presence of attentive thinking. Have you ever, matter of fact, let me tell you like this. there is a there was a restaurant chain, and I don't remember exact restaurant chain, but they would get bass, and they wanted to ship bass down from the northeast. And in shipping bass from the northeast, what they would do is they would put these bass in huge aquariums, and they would bring them down. They'd catch them, they would be fresh, and they would bring them down. The idea was to try to keep them fresh, but by the time they brought them from the northeast down to the southeast, they would arrive in these bins and they would be dead. So now you've just wasted all of this money. It's not fresh meat anymore. They're dead. It's like, what do you do with it? So what they did is they were like, man, what can we do? Somebody pitched the idea like, hey, what you got to do is go ahead and put right next to them an aquarium that has 2 or 3 catfish in it. So by doing this, what caused the bass to do, because catfish eat bass. All right. So what happened is these catfish will be swimming around in this aquarium, and they could see the bass through the glass on the other side of the aquarium, and they would want to get to them. The bass could see the catfish on the other side of the aquarium and didn't want to get eaten. And so they're swimming around frantically the whole trip from somewhere northeast to somewhere southeast. And by the time they got here, they were alive, they were fresh, because they were on a high alert. They were attentive. Well, that catfish represents our bad moods. That catfish represents our negative emotions that come up at times. Those are the things that cause our moods. That's what I'm talking about when it says it demands the attentive thinking, an attentive thinking style. So that's what happened to the bass. When they put the catfish in the aquarium right next to them, it demanded that attentive, like, okay, that catfish is over there, we're over here. That catfish is over there, we're over here. And it was a constant movement. It was a constant thought process of things going, staying alert, staying aware. And that attentive thinking style that I'm talking about leads us to really examine facts in a way in a more creative and fresh way. That's why I'm saying like those negative emotions, those bad moods at times are beneficial because it brings us down off of a natural high just enough so that we can stop and process things and make better decisions. Every leader that's out here, every single leader, and I see somebody who's over here in my queue for uh over here in my queue for uh for the wisdom app, and I'm going to bring you up in just a moment. I'm going to finish this point and bring you up. And I believe the name is Shua. He's a writer, speaker, explorer. All right, let's cultivate self-awareness, deepen our human connections, and learn how to have hard conversations. Well, I'm going to bring him up in just a second, but let me finish this thought. Every leader that's out here is going to experience great days, amazing days, but you're also going to experience disappointment. You're going to experience your team not meeting the expectations. You're going to experience team members that you have to spend extra time with. And those moments are going to help balance you out and help you cultivate a thinking process that's going to lead your team to success. There is not one team in any sport, national sport, professional sport that I can think of that does not experience going through every emotion possible. Not one. So let me go ahead and bring up my man Shua, and so we can get into this conversation. He's going to be coming up, and I want to get him in on the conversation because I saw him jump in there really quick, and I love it. So, hello.
Travis, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. Now, did I pronounce your name right?
Shua, Schwa, whatever works for you, my man. That's all good for me.
Hey, listen, this is your name, so I want the world to know who you are.
Yeah, and I kind of enjoy the experiment of seeing if people choose Shua or Schwa, and I like that. So I celebrate the ambiguity.
Oh, good, man. I love it. I like the name. It's dope, and I like that hat that you're rocking in your picture too.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Hey, so you're talking a lot about emotions, and you're a very eloquent man, and you have a lot of information to share. To take a slightly larger picture approach to it, I'm curious: is there a specific framework that you have learned and are employing in your description of this in order to understand how you show up and interact with your emotions?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting because I've taken a process. I think this is like part 7 that I'm on, and I've kind of taken step by step. So I started off talking about just being in tune with our emotions and introducing people to emotional intelligence, and then I talked about emotional intelligence and unlocking your emotional intelligence and how that affects us in our day to day. And I think the next one was we started talking about what is happiness, what is really happiness, and then talked about the science behind happiness. So I just kind of took like a step-by-step approach. And then with every one, I just apply some things that I've done myself, some things that I've learned along the way, things that I myself, that I have applied from my day-to-day interaction with people, experience into application so that people aren't just walking away with like, oh, that was great. And I have taken time to go back in and search out things so that I can give information behind why it is that we do what we do.
Yeah, man, I love that. What I hear from you is that you're trying to reframe our relationship with so-called negative emotions to realize that there is utility and value in being able to explore what is that emotion, coming up about, and why are we experiencing that emotion. And I really appreciate you kind of focusing on. It seems like you're also articulating that there's a separation between who we are and the emotions that we experience, so that we can witness the emotions instead of being consumed and controlled by them. Does that jive with your understanding?
Absolutely.
Nice, man. And so one of the things, and I'm really enjoying listening to you speak. So I really don't want to take away from it, to be honest. But I keep noticing that every 2-3 minutes I hear something that I'm like, oh, there's either a good example of this or an expansion around this, and so it'd be great sometime to have like a contributive conversation with you.
Absolutely.
But on that front, one of the things that I've learned is that I'm learning about something called neuro-emotional coaching. If you end up looking that up, write it down, look it up later.
Yeah.
Neuro-emotional coaching is a framework for anybody who's listening. It's kind of understanding the relationship with your emotions and your survival states, right? So, we all go into fight, flight, appease, freeze. And once we ascend beyond that, then we're experiencing our emotional brain, and that's a different, cognitive structure within our brain and neural network. And then after you've processed your emotions, you get to an executive state, which allows for that rational thinking, that ideation, that brainstorming, that collaboration. And so what I like, Jarvis, about what you're doing is you're romanticizing, you're glorifying the fluidity and the capacity for engaging with our emotions in a way that empowers us instead of often makes us feel trapped or stuck within emotions. And it's like, okay, well, let's dig into that. Let's not call them negative emotions. Let's say that they're difficult, but they're useful at the same time. So we need to have a better relationship with the negative so-called emotions so that we are employing the full bandwidth of our abilities to show up to our lives and connect with what's happening on a daily basis.
Yes, absolutely. And it's the part of it is I love to kind of leave space for people to, like yourself, to jump in and add value, and that's intentional because I know that there's a lot of, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Wisdom, but there's a lot of knowledge out there, and I never want it to be something where it's just, hey, this is just what Jarvis said. No, I like for people like yourself, Schwa, to add in value to what it is that we're bringing to the table.
Well, man, my time looks like it's up, but I do appreciate what you're doing, and happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And feel free to jump back up if you'd like, Schwa. I'd love to have you in there. I also have Creed, who is over here, Creed Cole, the unicorn personality. He's going to come up right now as well. And Schwa, like I said, if you'd like to jump back up, please feel free to jump back up. All right, so we're going to bring Creed up. And that was some great information. I hope you guys took some notes on what Schwa was saying. Schwa. It's spelled S-H-U-A if you want to check him out. Creed, how's it going, my friend?
Hey, how you doing, sir? How you doing?
Doing wonderful.
That's good. I figured I'd jump in and just add a little value to the piece before I go about what I'm doing.
I'm with it. So what you got for us, sir?
Go ahead. So split me up a little bit. All about emotions. Part 7. Part 7. Where are you dealing on part 7, real quick?
So we're actually talking about bad emotions, a positive side to bad emotions. Like they're not. We see these negative emotions, but they're not necessarily negative in a sense. Like it's not for us to experience them because the way that our brain works is those emotions, those moods actually help us to process things a lot better.
Well, yeah, I agree with you on that. But the thing is well, for me, I realized that once we find out how to process it, you know what I'm saying? How to vent, meaning not vent as far as like screaming a pillow. I mean, like, because every time something comes in the conscious, it stays for 1.5 hours, so an hour and a half. And then it goes to that critical area for 24 hours. And that critical area is when you decide whether to let it's unnecessary to hold it. So you vent it through sleep and through hypnosis and other things. Or you can let it go down to the critical area, which it becomes subconscious, which has become modern memory, which has become some truth to it. So, and then, so that's one area in that critical area. That's where you be careful of, you can control your emotions a little bit on that area. Yeah. Then, then down at the bottom, you remember what the bottom area where you have your fight and flight area of your mind, the brain and stuff. You gotta remember that's the old module. Nowadays you gotta adopt to fit. So no longer now we can't fight or flight. That was when caveman days. If you think about it, if you're at work and you get into it with your boss, you can't fight. You know what I'm saying? Or you don't want to lose your job, so you're not going to fight. You know what I'm saying? So what you're going to do, you have a reaction now. That's where you learn reaction.
Yeah.
So now we have the reactions, and so for the fight reaction, what is that? Anxiety. So we have to sit still. You know what I'm saying? And then for the flight one, we're going to stuff it. So with that being said, that brings high anxiety, and which causes fear, doubt, insecurity, and a slew of other negative emotions.
Right. No, I'm following you. I'm definitely tracking with you, and I think that's good.
So the way to turn that negative into a positive is to simply just first of all, you gotta remember it's negative by definition,
right?
And you choose to define it as that. You know what I'm saying? So once you realize you got control over, how you view things, and then you can learn to pick the jewel out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't care what it. I mean, I'll use an example. I think before with you, it's slavery.
Right.
It's a negative thing that happened.
Yeah.
But guess what? And I could be mad at everybody about it if I choose to be, or I can look and say, I am using an iPhone 13 Pro Max right now that probably came from the blood and sweat of slavery in some way.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to look at it.
And I'm going to use BP gas when I leave for school. And I'm going to probably stop at McDonald's. Now, all those things came from the descendant of a slave master who harmed a slave, a slave. Yeah. And so now I look at it from a sense of thanks. You know what I'm saying? Not for the slavery, not for the slave master. I'm saying, I hate to say it, but I'm humble and thankful for the experience.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for the experience, I have the comfortability I have today. And I mean, I don't want it to happen. I wish it wouldn't have happened at all. But again, the reality of it is, I found the jewel out of something negative.
Right. Dang, that's good, Creed. Like and even as you're talking, like I'm thinking of things as you're talking. So if you have more, please feel free to share.
No, yeah, I'm just saying. So I mean, if we collectively, they're trying to push the negative and leave it as negative. Man, I heard a song that's #1 hit that says "I hate you." The name of the song is "I hate you," and I mean, and believe it or not, I vibe to it.
Yeah.
And what's so crazy is that we have to learn to find the air of our brain, to our mind, our thought process, our thinking process, to catch those things that's toxic.
Yeah.
So we won't have these unnatural feelings and emotions that was artificially generated to keep you under one mindset or the other. But I have 3 minutes to start class. I'm on Zoom and it 3 minutes to log in. So I gotta go.
All right, man. Much love to you, bro. I appreciate you dropping some jewels, man.
Thank you, bro. And I'll text you though. Hey, remember the number thing.
Yes, sir. I got you. Okay, man. So we had 2 great people, Schwa, and actually I like how he said he loves ambiguous. Schwa. I love that name. And Creed. Man, listen, you guys, and they're both right on point. And the thing that I love about what Schwa was saying was he was letting you know, he was basically articulating and breaking down the things that we're talking about. And anybody who's been on with me, you know that I like to go ahead and give you the information and then give you some personal stories behind it, because I know that we're all individuals. And as we are individuals out here and we're making decisions and we're moving through life, the thing that really impacts us more than anything else is our ability, and I'll say this very clearly, our ability to attach ourselves to stories. And it's the stories that people tell us that help us connect with them, that help us overcome or help us move forward, help us find relief, help us find solace. And I've learned that, being on enough stages, being on different platforms, being able to communicate with various people, and even knowing how somebody else's story impacts my life. So this is how I look at it. Each and every one of us, we are a number. Statistically, your social security number, your government number, your ID badge has a number, your work ID is a number. All these things are numbers. The most important thing that there is out there is that your name is attached to that number. And behind your name being attached to that number, right? Hear me on this, follow me on this. Your story is what's behind your name, and your story is what's going to change and impact lives. So I want you guys to know, like, with the negative emotions, when you allow your negative emotions to be processed throughout the day, and I see you. What's up, Titus, my guy? I'm sorry, I see you, Titus. Hey, Titus, I'll be back soon, bro. I will be back very soon. I see you, big dog. It's good to see you, man. Titus is a young man aspiring to be amazing and great. I think he's about 15, 16 over here on IG, jumping in, and he's basically being my accountability, asking me when I'm gonna come back into the gym. He said it real big, like, when are you gonna come back to Scoob's place to work out again? Let me know. Titus, my guy, I'll be there, I promise. So let's go ahead and let's dive into getting ready to wrap up on these emotions. So with negative emotions, like I was saying just before, they actually challenge us. They demand of us to be more attentive thinking, and they lead us to really, really examine the facts and have more creative ways and fresh ways to go about things. When you tap in and you allow your negative emotions to be a part of your life, and you just embrace them. And I'm not saying, hear me say this, I am not telling you to stay there. When you embrace the negative emotions that come around, and I'm just going to quotation negative emotion, those when you um, when you bring in when you embrace those things, it makes it to where you're less gullible and you're more skeptical. And there's nothing wrong with being less gullible and more skeptical, because it allows you to think through and process things. The other thing is it helps you control your level of expectations. The reason why a lot of us experience disappointment is because it's our own personal failed expectations. If you think about, let's think about the holidays. Every holiday, there's something that happens that kind of disappoints you a little bit, because you had a high level of expectation, but that high level of expectation was because you were like, man, I'm going to do, the family's going to do this person's going to do that, I'm going to get this from this person. So there's high levels of expectations based off of the joy that's riddled around those holidays. Now, when those things don't happen, it creates a level of disappointment, and that disappointment it's literally because of a failed expectation. Now, when you're looking at it, if you go into it and you're like, man, this is, and I'm not telling you to downplay Christmas. I'm not telling you to downplay Thanksgiving. I'm not telling you, like, I was not disappointed with my Thanksgiving experience. I was not disappointed with my Christmas experience. I was not disappointed with my New Year's experience. I was happy for the people that were there that I was able to be around. Those were the things that brought me joy, was seeing them in those moments. Did I deal with emotions on those days? Yes, I had. On each one of those days, I dealt with a level of emotions. I dealt with the missing my family, because my family is 3,000 some odd miles away from me. They're all out on the West Coast. I'm over on the East Coast. I dealt with being at my house alone. That can cause an emotional drop, because you're looking at what everything's being shown to you. You're looking at everything that's being said. You're looking at everything that is being put out there, right? I'm missing. I'm looking at the fact that, okay, I have this beautiful Christmas tree and there's nothing under it. These are all things that play in your psychological mind, right? They play on what I can see and what the intent is. I'd lowered the level of expectation on myself. I didn't expect to have any gifts. I didn't expect for people to be here. I didn't even expect to be able, to get a meal from somebody. I lowered my personal level of expectations. And that's something that I've just done intentionally, because I know that if I have my expectations extremely high, and when my expectations are extremely high, it can cause me to feel a certain way. It can cause me to experience things a certain way. It can cause me to have those failed expectations and be disappointed. And I don't ever want to find myself in that situation. Now, in looking at your moods, there are some things that I want to give you as benefits. Okay, so when you're going through things, let's say if you allow yourself to tap into those emotions, right? Some of the things, and I have this in my notes. Um, 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 so the positive things that can come from sadness, anger, guilt, and fear, the things that they can do for you. One is it can help you form arguments. All right. You're more likely to use concrete information when you're feeling any of these emotions. When you're to be more tuned into a situation, whatever's happening at hand, you're less prone to just making judgment errors when you're tapped into all of your emotions, when you allow your negative to work with your positive. You're also, when you allow yourself to experience all of your emotions, it actually helps you to improve your memory. I didn't know that. That's something that I learned along the way. And I wrote this one down 100% exactly how I read it. It says, one study found that shoppers remembered much more information about the interior of a store on cold, gloomy days when they weren't feeling so exuberant than they did on sunny days when they felt like a breeze. Research also shows that when we're in a not so good mood, we're less likely to inadvertently or corrupt our memories by incorporating misleading information. So basically, you'll think a lot clearer. You'll keep the details as the details. When you have tough emotions, right? When you're going through gloom, when you're feeling these things, it encourages perseverance. Okay, and by encouraging perseverance, it'll push you. It pushes you when you're taking a test. It pushes you when you're dealing with individual things that are challenging to you. It pushes you to make the right decisions, or want to make the right decisions, so that you can get away from or get out of that gloom that you're in. It also, here's another thing. It helps you to know when to walk away. When you're in negative moods, you pay more attention to signs and signals that will tell you, like, this is a red flag, and this is a reason why I need to walk away from this situation, whether it's a job, whether it's a person, whether it's a deal, whatever that case is. It'll give you those moods, or the signals, say, hey, it's time to walk away. And by embracing all of your emotions, right, allowing yourself to feel these emotions but not staying in one single state, the big thing is it boosts your ability to reason. It boosts your personal ability to reason. Okay. And I'll read this one because I wrote this one down. In a study of people with strong political opinions, those who were angry chose to read more articles that oppose their positions instead of practicing confirmation bias, the common tendency to seek out info that supports what we already believe to be true. After exploring these contrary views, they were more willing to change their minds. It seems that anger produces a nail the position mentality, that encourages us to explore what the other guy has to say in order to tear it apart. Ironically, leaving the door open for us to be persuaded. And that is something that is huge. When you sit, and I've said this before in conversations, always sit to listen, to receive, not to rebuttal. Because if you can understand where the other person's coming from, you can make a better decision. And you may be persuaded out of what it is that you believe, and that's okay. But like I said, boosting your ability to reason. When you can embrace all of your emotions, it also boosts your ability to reason. So tonight, what I wanted to make sure that we talked about, and I'm pretty sure that we hit all of these things, is I wanted to hit everything from telling you about the positive sides of things. And those positive sides of things they're absolutely needed in our life. But there's also, you don't know what good is until you've experienced bad. So the bad emotions are just as important as the good emotions. The challenge is not staying and allowing yourself to stay in a state of being in bad moods. Because if you stay in a state of having a bad mood, then that's what leads to depression. Those are things that lead to anxiety. Those are those things that lead to like different psychological disorders. Those are the things that lead to that when you choose to stay in those situations, embracing the good and the bad, and not just overlooking the things that are bad and saying, like, oh no, like don't just brush them off. That just happened. You stubbed your toe. It just happened. You're going to feel that for a second. So anytime that you feel some sort of a way when it comes to your emotions, embrace it for a moment. It's okay to stop and look at it and say, okay, what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling right now? Okay, I understand this. Do I need to continue feeling this way? And it kind of goes back into what Creed was saying, is he gave it like an hour and a half. So when you can let that emotion go, when you can let that feeling go, it puts you back in a stable place. Remember, one of the things that I said is that I never make decisions when I'm in a heightened level of emotion, like this euphoric state, or when I'm in a low level of emotions. Those are two areas where I will not make decisions in. I will let myself come back down to what I call my median, and my median is right there where I need to be. And now I can make a good, well thought out, well processed decision. So tonight, we just talked about how our good emotions and our bad emotions, they work together. So yes, there is a positive side to negative emotions, you all. There is a positive side to it. And we just talked about it. So I hope that you guys took a lot from that tonight, man. And man, I personally am going to go study out this neuro-emotional coaching that Schwa, aka Shua, was had mentioned to us, because that is something that was very intriguing to me. But there's so much that we went over tonight. I hope that you were able to take some notes. Tomorrow we're going to jump back in, and it's going to be another topic, still kind of dealing in this emotions piece, and we're going to run through it, and we're going to be ready to talk about it. So if you want to come on live with me at any time, just let me know. If you want to partner and have a good conversation, just let me know. You know, I really wish that we could have gave you Shua's information, but try to look him up. SHUA. That's how you say his name, or that's how you spell his name. Try to look him up. I'd love for you guys to be able to connect with him as well, and Creed as well. It's Creed Cole, CREED, and then the second name Cole. So, man, this is your boy Jarvis. It has been a great night tonight. I've enjoyed this. I have a song that's already picked out by request. I love when we get those songs by request. And this song is none other than the one and only Aretha Franklin. And I'm going to play it for you. And this is going to be the song that's going to take us out tonight. So let's enjoy this Aretha Franklin song as we take ourselves out. And let's get it. So my IG people, Anita Baker in the building. Yes. I love y'all. I think I said Aretha Franklin. Forgive me. IG people, I'll holla at you later. All my people over here on YouTube and Facebook, I love y'all too. I'm about to get out of here with y'all.